I was sitting outside the Cedar Bluff VA clinic in my wheelchair, uniform pressed, service dog by my side, just waiting for my doctor. And then, out of nowhere, a local cop called me boy and fired a taser straight into my chest. Yeah, that actually happened. And I need you to hear this story because it didn't end the way they expected. It was one of those sharp September mornings, the kind where the sun's already bright, but the air still holds a chill. I pulled into the handicap spot, transferred from my adapted truck into my chair, and my service dog, Atlas, a German shepherd trained better than most people I've met in uniform, took his post beside me. I adjusted my ribbons, Bronze Star, Distinguished Service Cross, Purple Heart. People see medals, I see faces. Each one has a cost. Inside, Rosa at the desk smiled, like always. "Doc's running late again, Commander. You want to sit inside or soak up some sun?" I laughed and told her, "Put me in the shade like a houseplant." She chuckled and waved me out. It was our usual routine. So I parked outside in the quiet. Just me, my notes, and Atlas. Nothing unusual. Then at 9:16 a.m., a black and white cruiser rolled in slow. You can always feel it when someone's not coming to help, but to confront. Two officers stepped out. The older one, big frame, buzz cut, the kind of guy who walks like he owns every inch of ground under his boots. The younger one, nervous, overeager, trying to impress his partner. "Got a call about someone loitering," the older one said. Not a question, an accusation. I looked up. "I'm here for an appointment, just waiting to be called in." He squinted like he already knew what story he wanted to tell, and I was just the prop. "Yeah, you got ID to prove that?" I handed him my Navy ID and VA card. Calm, professional, exactly how we're trained to be. But he barely looked at them. "Lot of guys faking it lately," he said loud enough for the parking lot to hear. His partner sniggered. "Special ops, huh? You can't even stand up." Atlas shifted closer to me. Not aggressive, just protective. That's his job when my heart rate spikes. "Sir, your dog's acting aggressive," the officer barked. "Control that animal before we have a problem." And that was it, that word, problem. Because to him, I wasn't a patient. I wasn't a veteran. I was already a problem. "Listen, boy," he said, and I felt it. That word landed heavier than the taser ever could. I told him calmly, "Sergeant, I'm a disabled veteran sitting on federal property waiting for my appointment. You have no cause to detain me." But he wasn't hearing a word. His ego had already taken over. "Hands where I can see them," he yelled. And before I could even react, he fired. 50,000 volts slammed through my chest. When your legs don't work and your spine's full of metal, that electricity feels like your body folding in on itself. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, could only hear him say, "That's what happens when you don't follow orders, boy." And right there in front of the Department of Veterans Affairs sign and the flag I once fought under, I was humiliated by two men who'd never seen a battlefield. The clinic doors burst open. Rosa's voice cut through the air like a siren. "What are you doing to my patient?" Behind her came Dr. Navarro, Navy medical, tough as nails. She stepped right between us. "This man is under my care," she said coldly. "You just deployed a taser on a disabled combat veteran on federal medical property. Identify yourselves. Now." The officer tried to puff his chest. "Ma'am, step back. This is police business." And she interrupted him mid-sentence. "No, this is a federal crime, and I'm recording every second." Moments later, VA security arrived, led by Chief Alvarez, a former Air Force man. He stepped up like the calmest storm I've ever seen. "Officers," he said, "you're using force on federal medical property without jurisdiction. Present your IDs." And for the first time, those cops looked unsure because now it wasn't their parking lot anymore. It was federal ground under federal eyes. My phone buzzed. My CO, Captain Elise Hart, was calling. "Commander Reed, you're late to the 0930 brief." I replied, "Ma'am, 2 local officers tased me while I was waiting for my appointment at the VA." Silence. Then her voice dropped. "Document everything. Do not engage. We're elevating." And just like that, Cedar Bluff's little incident turned into a national story. By lunch, both officers were suspended. By afternoon, the FBI Civil Rights Division was reviewing the footage. By night, the story was on every major network. And the next morning, veterans flooded the clinic in wheelchairs, on crutches, missing limbs, all sitting silently in protest. You could feel it. This wasn't just outrage. It was reckoning. The city tried to cover it up, of course. Misunderstanding, they said. Non-compliance. Officers feared for their safety. But the gas station across the street had cameras. And those cameras told the truth. No 911 call, no complaint, no disturbance. Just 2 officers circling back because a black man in uniform didn't look like what they thought a veteran should look like. Within 48 hours, federal civil rights charges were filed. Deprivation of rights under color of law. That's not suspension. That's prison. And the FBI doesn't play games with witness tampering. Not on federal property. A week later, those same officers stood cuffed in federal court. Their bail, $500,000 each. And for once, silence filled the courtroom. The kind of silence that sounds like justice finally breathing. This case didn't just end with convictions. It sparked something bigger, the Reed Veteran Dignity Act. The law now requires every department receiving federal funds to train officers on how to interact with veterans, how to recognize PTSD, service dogs, wheelchairs, prosthetics, and most importantly, how to treat veterans like people, not suspects. It also mandates that any law enforcement use of force against a veteran on federal medical grounds be justified with proof, not just fear. Those officers, Malley and Hodges, got 8 and 6 years. Their chief resigned, and Cedar Bluff built a memorial garden where it happened, with a plaque that reads, "Respect isn't charity. It's the debt this country owes to those who already paid up front." The first time I rode past that plaque, I had to stop. Because for once, I felt something that wasn't anger. It was relief. We say we honor our veterans. We wave flags, clap at games, post on Memorial Day. But when the cameras are off and a tired man in uniform sits outside a clinic, do we see him as a hero or a problem that needs to prove he belongs? So tell me, after hearing this story, what do you think? Was this just 2 bad cops?